All right, how's everybody doing? If we have done everything right, we are live. I'm coming to you from my home office today because just a few minutes ago the power went out in our office, and that's been really fun, scrambling everybody around, trying to figure it out, getting people home. But I did not want to miss our live cast today, so I came home. It's going to be a little bit different. But I'm just trying to get things rolling here so we can go through this. Okay, no problem. I'm not going to be able to see chats today because the setup's not able to show it to me properly. But we've got a lot to go over and a lot we're going to talk about today. So I'm just checking audio good. Because it sounds like we've got things ready to rock and roll. But today we've got a really important topic. We're going to be talking about should I sell or rent a property after flipping it? And I've got quite a bit to say regarding this topic, which you're going to be really, really interested in here. But before I do, let me just make sure everything's all ready to go here. Okay, so that's going to be kind of our topic for today. There's several things we're going to be talking about. When you're done with this live cast, you're going to be walking away with a few things. We're going to talk about a finding tip. I do that every single week, and today's finding tip is how you can find good rental areas for BRRRs, which goes along with our main overview topic. We're also going to talk about the 13 steps to finding a good deal, things that you can look at to find a good deal. We're going to talk about deciding whether you should rent or sell the property. We're going to talk about questions you should ask when choosing the right strategy. So today's agenda, if you're joining us for the first time, thank you for being with us. We kind of follow the same format, but we have different topics. So we do our welcome and updates, which is what we're doing now. And then we get into real estate news and what's happening around us in the real estate market so we can take advantage of that. We'll also go through a finding tip of the week, which is going to be a little bit about BRRRs. And then we go through our topic of the week, which is should I keep it or should I sell it, is our kind of topic. Then we go through our free t-shirt giveaway, which is unfortunately I don't have my extra shirts here to show you because they're all back at the office, except for the ones that are in my closet, but that's I didn't have time to put one on today. And then we give away a free tool of the week. This is one of my favorites because I like to give everybody that comes something they can use to help them in their real estate investing. And I like to do that every single week. So I'll be giving you a way to get access to some things that can help you out in real estate investing. Real quickly, this show's for entertainment purposes. Before you make any financial moves, consult a real estate professional, attorney, CPA, or other professional in subject matter. Everybody's situation is different. There's no one size fits all. DHM may receive payments on the show for sponsors from guests, books, giveaways, other remediations. As with anything in life, results come from education, following system, hard work, and determination to follow through until the end. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it. Please type in your first name and the city and state that you're investing in. Even though I can't see it, it will show up on the recording so I can check that out. And anything you type in, I'm not going to be able to see it right now, but if you type stuff in the comments, we'll make sure we cover that next week. If you're watching this as a recording video, please join us every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. We do this live cast, and I really try and make sure it happens no matter what, even if the power goes out and my recording studio isn't working. We try and do our very best to have these every single Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. T-shirt giveaways. We give away a t-shirt every single week. I've got several shirts that I like to give away. We'll announce last week's winner at the end of today's live cast, but from now on, you can become the winner for next week, for this current week, and we'll announce it next week. If you do become the t-shirt winner, please take a photo of yourself. We'd love to see these pictures. Post it on our Facebook page and tell us you're the winner of the week. So just go over to facebook.com/DoHardMoney, and we'd love to have you as our Facebook to take a picture and post it on Facebook if you're our t-shirt winner of the week. To become the winner of the week, we're asking for you to ask great questions, leaving positive comments. Want to make sure you're having high interaction and you comment on the recorded video. Those are some things things you can do to become the t-shirt winner of the week. And every week I choose one winner, and we announce that the following week. And so we'll be announcing last week's winner at the end of today. If you guys are liking these live casts, which so many of you are, and you want to see them continue, I really need your help. I've got a goal. My goal, we're currently at 5,750 subscribers, and my goal is to get to 600 subscribers by the end of August. So I'm looking for 250 new subscribers. So right now, if you're listening to me, whether it's live or whether it's a recording, if you're currently not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate it. And one of the things that I do is I do new videos every single day. These are called Just Ask Ryan videos. And these videos are anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes, but they answer a specific topic. So like appraisal guarantees, what the heck, or interest-only loans, and some things you should know about that. And so I cover different topics like that every single day. I put out a video, so as you subscribe, if you hit that bell notification, you'll become aware when I put those videos out as well. So hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. If you're one of our newest subscribers, put that in the comments and say, I'm your newest subscriber to the DoHardMoney channel. Make sure you leave some comments on the recorded video, and the best thing you can possibly do is tell somebody else about it. I would really appreciate it. Okay, what you will get, this is the free giveaway, the free tool that I like to do every single week. And this week's free tool is our rental calculator. So what this basically does is this talks about your purchase, your capital, down payment, your net income after insurance and taxes, HOA, tells you what your cash flow should look like, your capital improvements and vacancies holdout. It will give you, you can look at crime, school information, your rental information. This is the rental calculator that I like to use when I'm making a determination if something's a good rental or not. I'm going to give it to you absolutely for free. I will show you at the end of the live cast exactly how to get that, so you can get your hands on this, which can be a huge help if you're looking to get going in some of this rental income. So we'll put a link at the end. All right, guys, let's jump into this segment where we're going to go through the real estate market updates, some things I'm seeing in the real estate market that I think you need to be aware of. One of those is the New York Post came up with the 5 best markets to invest in. This is really interesting, guys. Detroit, San Francisco, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Las Vegas are some of the best ones. Basically, they're saying this is based upon number of transactions, and the year-over-year change is what they're looking at. According to KSL, U.S. housing market floats back to earth. The U.S. housing market appears to be strained under the weight of its own pandemic-driven success. Think about that. It's strained because of its own success. That's exactly what we're seeing here. The housing market isn't caving just yet, says Peter Canderdo, chief economist of Spartan Capital Securities. Have we reached the peak? That's a possibility, but worst case scenario, I see a leveling off. Keep that in mind. Worst case scenario, I see this as a leveling off. I think that's an interesting point. Home renovation discovery, home renovation. Somebody's doing a home renovation discovery, 150 bowling balls under the family's porch. Look at this. This is a property in Michigan. If you're from Michigan, put it in the comments. I want to know. A homeowner in Michigan found an unusual surprise when renovating his porch. All in all, Olson pulled out 158 bowling balls. Are you kidding me? I've seen some strange stuff. I've seen some coins. I've seen some. I've seen some old newspapers. I've seen a bunch of stuff like that, but this may just be the beginning. Look at this. There's 158 bowling balls. I think it's hilarious. Bidding wars decline, another sign that the U.S. housing market is easing, but competition is still white hot in many cities. The cutthroat conditions across the U.S., the real estate markets are showing more signs of easing. Pending homes, this is according to Market Watch, pending home sales surge higher, but economists warn that the housing market could soon hit bottom. Pending home sales rose 8% in May compared to April, according to the National Association of Realtors. And all regions saw an uptick in sales led by a 15.5% surge in the Northeast. The South saw the smallest increase with 4.9% of an uptick. Pending home sales surged higher, but economists warn that the house market could soon hit the bottom. Still, economists generally anticipate that the second half of 2021 will see a slowdown in real estate transactions. And here's one of the reasons why, and this is interesting: mortgage applications are down, meaning there's fewer more people applying for a loan than there was. The latest mortgage applications data from the Mortgage Bankers Association, the trade group, shows that we're down 17% from a year ago, from the week ending in July 25th. That's interesting. We're seeing less people applying for the loans. The average loan size for the total purchase application increased, indicating that first-time home buyers who typically get smaller homes are getting squeezed out. Basically, those smaller homes just aren't available, so they're saying, why should I even apply? Because I can't find something that's going to be in my price range anyway. Something we definitely need to keep our eye on. All right, a housing boom begins to fizzle. Weekly mortgage demand falls nearly 7%. Weekly mortgage demand is along with 6.9%, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. That's the lowest level in almost a year and a half. Pending home sales sink as the housing market falls back to earth. An indication of existing home sales fell in April, suggesting the housing could be cooling in the face of higher home prices. It's an interesting phenomenon where we're seeing a little bit of cooling, but prices are still remaining pretty high. I think it just means it's not going to be as competitive. It's not going to be multi-offers. It's not going to be complete craziness. Pending home sales dropped 4.4% in April compared with March, according to the National Association of Realtors. On an annual basis, pending home sales were up nearly 52%. Realtor.com is saying this is nothing to panic about. Contracts signed are approaching pre-pandemic levels after the big surge due to lack of sufficient supply of affordable homes, according to Lawrence Yun. The upper end market is still moving sharply as inventory is plentiful there in the upper end markets, and I find that really, really interesting. The lumber prices that we're seeing, finally we're seeing lumber coming down. In June, we saw a 40% decrease. The great lumber bubble has finally popped. Earlier this year, lumber prices exploded due to a combination of supply amid mill shutdowns, surging demand. At one point, the lumber shortage led to the average house going up $30,000 just in lumber costs alone, according to the National Association of Builders. These are cities with the biggest share of homeowners in danger of foreclosure. And the reason I bring this up is there's going to be some opportunities here for investors in these cities and other cities, but these ones especially. One of the homeowners continues to be behind on payments. If that trend continues, it could threaten the strength of certain real estate markets across the country. Right now, around 14.7% of the 7.6 million FHA mortgages, and that's just FHA, that doesn't include conventional, but 14.7% of the 7.6 million FHA mortgages are delinquent. That's up slightly. Additionally, 10.5% of these loans are seriously delinquent, meaning they're over 90 days or more. So we've got Alpharetta, Sandy Springs, Georgia, Houston. We've got Chicago, Dallas, Washington, Irvine, Virginia, Maryland, Baltimore, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Antonio, Fort Worth, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. These are going to have some opportunities here based upon the number of mortgage-backed, FHA-backed loans and the percentage of those that are going to get themselves into trouble. Those are going to be some hot spots for investing, something you need to be considering. June 2021 housing report. The national inventory of active declined 43.1%, and the pending sales declined 20.3%. Newly listed homes on the market were up 5.5% to the 11.7% a year ago. And June's national media listing 385,000, up 12.7%. So we're seeing some interesting stuff here in the housing report. So what's happening in your area? Please type it in the comments below. I'd be really interested to see what your thoughts are and what you're seeing in the overall market. While we're doing that, let me just make sure we've got things rocking right now. Okay, guys, property finding tip of the week. We're going to go through this. We're going to talk about how to find good rental areas for BRRRs. If you're not familiar with what a BRRRR is, it's buy, renovate, rent, and refinance. Okay, that's what a BRRR means. What makes a good rental property? Well, there's 5 things that help you find good rental properties that are great for BRRR deals. Okay, but we talked about the BRRR: buy, renovate, rent, and refinance. So we're going to talk on several things that can make a good rental property. Okay. Number 1, and this is probably the most important, this is the rent to purchase ratio. How much are you going to be into the property plus your rehab divided by the monthly rent? That equals the rental ratio, okay? 1% is a great rule of thumb. You've probably heard of this before. This means that your monthly gross rent is 1% of the purchase and the rehab. So for an example, let's say you purchased the property for $100,000, the rehab was $40,000, and so closing cost was $10,000. Your total cost to acquire was $150,000. So if your gross rent was $1,500 per month, that means $1,500, and we're saying gross rent. This is before you take out taxes and insurance and everything else. But if your gross rent is $1,500, 1,500 divided by 150,000 equals 1%, 0.01 or 1%. That would be a fantastic rental property from that aspect, hitting that 1% rule. And that can be hard to do. Some areas it's really hard to achieve. Others it can be very easy. It really depends. But high level, this tells you this is an interesting property you should be looking into. Okay, how to get rents. How do you figure out what properties are actually going to rent for? You've got to figure out the comps, and then you need to look for properties that are for rent in the area, which is what comparables actually are. One of the things we use is Investor's Edge. If you're familiar with that, if you're not, give us a holler. We can talk about it. But under opportunities, we show a monthly rent where you can actually see how much the monthly rent is actually supposed to be. It might make sense to actually show you guys that. There we go. I can actually show you what the monthly rents are on specific properties. Now, that doesn't mean it's like perfect. It just means that it's going to give you an idea where to start or what to go with. So let's just say, okay, I don't know what property this is, but this property just came up. It's in Baltimore, and that's one of the ones. So this is Investor's Edge. So if you come to here, you can see, what's happening in the area, what the opportunity is, and those and that type of stuff. So one of the things with opportunity is it has this monthly rent. So they're saying this property could rent for $1,720, which puts it at 14.23%. So that's what you're basically looking like on a property like that. And you can find that all through Investor's Edge, but that's not the only thing you can do. You can get other comparables and find out. That's just going to have some data just to kind of give you a down and dirty. It's a quick way to see, and then once you get under contract, you do some due diligence. Second thing is heat maps, okay? This can show you where rents are higher and rents are lower. And that's what the heat maps, you can evaluate the estimated value, you can evaluate the price growth. So for an example, let's look at Chicago. Let's look at Chicago here real quick. Chicago. Here's Chicago, Illinois. So one of the things we can do here, let's just zoom out a little bit. We can look at price growth, what's happened over the price for the last 6 months. And this gives us a map. So this is a 50% loss. This is 50% growth. Somewhere here is about break even. You can see the price growth has been somewhere around 15%, but you can see these little pockets of areas where it hasn't been quite as good. Now, this is really interesting. We can come here to estimated rentals. So you can look at rent. Let's just look at total rent, not like by bedrooms or something like that. And let's look at our analytics there. Rental price. Here we go. So this is really interesting because this is $5,000 or more. This is, I don't know, what would that be? $1,000, $1,500. And then you can see some of these areas where you're like $750 or so you can see these areas are more expensive than these areas and those are more expensive than these areas, which can help give you an idea of where you want to be investing in, and you can compare that to the prices. So on the MLS we can look at listing price. So I can be like, let's zoom out just a little bit. I can say, this area seems to be less on the price range, but guess what? If I come here to the rental value, it's a little bit, you can see it's higher than this blue area down here. So that might be an opportunity area that I should be looking into. And so those are some of the things you need to be looking at. It's one of the great things about Investor's Edge software. Now you can look at that. So looking at price growth, estimated values. The other thing I'd like to really check into is crime. I'd like to keep an idea on the crime. Let me see. What's going on there? I want to make sure you guys can see me. It looks like the video camera may be frozen, so let me know if you can see or hear me real quick. Actually, I may just do a quick check. Okay, looks like it's coming over, but I'm frozen on the screen, unfortunately. But we'll keep rocking. So we're talking about crime. High crime areas don't make good rentals. That's just all there is to this. They just don't make great rentals. So you've got to be aware of that. You can find this out by doing research with the local police department online, or there's a site called Crime Mapping that you can check out. They can give you an idea of what types of crimes. I think one of the things to keep in mind is there's crimes everywhere. What you really want to know is what types of crimes, how frequently they are. Those are the types of things that I want to be looking into. So those are some things that you've got to consider and look at crime mapping. This is spotcrime.com. This is another one you can look at. It shows you the different types of crimes. You can put a specific property. They're free services that you can check out. Number 4 is property taxes. Property taxes can absolutely kill you. Absolutely kill you. I like taxes to be 1 to 1.5 months rent. So meaning in our example we talked about earlier, we talked about being into the property for $150,000 with rents being $1,500 a month. I want to make sure my annual taxes aren't more than $1,500 to $2,200 a year. If so, it's going to kill you. Meaning, if the house rents for $1,500, taxes should be $1,500 to $2,250. Okay, example, property taxes. There's a property I've got where the taxes are $8,000 a year. If my rent is $1,650, it would take me 5 months to just pay the taxes. Run the numbers, but in most cases, this is simply just not profitable. So you've got to be careful because taxes can just kill you. Okay, bad areas. You do not want to be in the war zones. You just cannot be in the war zones. You want to be in a decent area. My rule of thumb is, would I let my wife walk down the street at night alone? Okay, if the answer is no, it's not going to be a great rental. As always, a way you can find this out is by schools. Because that's the next tip we're going to get into is great schools. This is a free service as well, and it will give you rankings for schools around the area. I'm not overly concerned about some of these 5s. I mean, it's obviously nice with these 8s and 9s, but when I'm dealing with 1, 2, 3s, sometimes some 4s in schools, that concerns me a little bit because what happens is great schools typically have to do with great parents, and those are ones you're going to get higher rents and you're going to have less problems with. So I really love checking out the schools and what's happening in the overall schools in the area there. All right, guys, we are going to get into the tip of the week and what we're talking about here. Let me grab a drink of water first. Let's see here. I'm going to try and get my camera working again. We'll see if that works. All right, the main event. Should I sell or rent a property after flipping it? Okay, what you will learn from today is 13 steps to finding a good deal, deciding when you should sell or rent a property, questions to ask when choosing a strategy. So the process for finding a good deal is going to be the same. So we're going to talk about this because you've got to realize it's the same no matter what you're trying to accomplish here, whether you want to BRRR the property, whether you want to wholesale, whether you want to fix and flip, whether you want to keep it, you're going to have to do the same things to actually find a great deal. Okay, so step 1 is you've got to identify the area that you want to be investing in. And you do this by doing some research as to how many flips have been done by zip code. So we've got to look at this and say, okay, how many flips have happened in this zip code? And if there's a lot of flips happening, it probably means it's a great place for us to be investing in. It's a great place for us to be marketing, to finding properties, because we know there's a market there, which tells us good things are happening in that area. So then you select 1 to 3 of these zip codes. Once you've done this research, you decide that. So step 2 is you drive for houses. So you want to find houses that others won't be able to find. And so the way you do this is by having eyes on the ground. When you have eyes on the ground, what you're doing is looking for properties that are actually in trouble. So if there's a tarp on the roof, or the property's vacant, or there's dead grass, or there's weeds, or there's old newspapers, that type of stuff that you're looking for. And we have a whole list, and actually we have an app that you can work with to help you with that. But once you do that, then what you're doing is finding those properties. And so then we jump to step 3. Step 3 is then making contact. So you skip trace to get the home phone number, the email address, and the cell phone number, right? So you want to be doing all of those things, and you want to call, text, and email all of these people. So will most sellers want to sell? The answer is no. Most sellers are not going to want to sell. Most will not want to. But if you do this enough, one of them will. And the point there is doing it enough, okay? Step 4 is the motivated seller checklist. And what the motivated seller checklist is, if they are interested, you want to make a relationship, you want to get the property details, and then you want to schedule a time to actually meet in person, no more than 24 to 48 hours. Okay, and step 5, we want to start getting into research. Okay, so step 5 is where we start getting into the research and making some determinations as to what we're going to want to do for this property. So we do the research, we find our comparables. In the research, we determine the after repaired value. We determine if we're going to sell, what the property's worth in as-is value. We print our purchase contracts, we have them ready to go, all before we hit the meeting at the house, okay? And then that turns us into step 6, and step 6 is where we're going to have the meeting at the house. That's what we're getting ourselves prepared for, is that actual meeting at the house, okay? Once we are able to have that meeting at the house, then what we've got to do is make a relationship. This is the most important part of this whole process, and then we start walking through the home. Okay, once we've made the relationship, we walk through the home, we get on the same page of understanding what work is actually needed on the property. We want to understand their motivation and why they're actually wanting to sell the property. Understanding that can help us a lot, especially in the negotiations, for any of the challenges that they may be up against or things that are actually happening. Why do they really need to sell? And then we ask them to give us a number, how much they think it's going to cost to get some of this work done. And that's really important, so we get on the same page. Next thing that we want to do is we want to determine the price, okay? What is the price that they really want for this property? And then we're hoping to sign a purchase contract. And I always like to walk out with a purchase contract if it's even in the realm of possibility, and then see if we can make something work after that point. If necessary, we can do renegotiations, we can help out. So that's what we want to look at. So the next one is the disposition strategy, and that's where we get into what we're really trying to talk about today. This will vary based upon what your goals are, right? So this gets into, should I flip it? Should I keep it? Should I rent it? Should you turn it into a rental? Should you flip it as is? Should you do a wholesale? Should you flip it and do an ARV? And this is going to depend on a few things. And that's the emphasis of what I want to talk about today. So let's talk about some pros and cons for each one of these. So let's talk about a rental property. Here's some pros of a rental property. The remodel is smaller and doesn't have to be as good of quality. You should get cash flow monthly and forever. You don't have a big tax bill for the flip of the profit. You can write off to offset some of your income and some of your expenses. So those are some of the great things. Now, some of the cons that we're dealing dealing with a rental property is you don't get a bunch of cash at once, right? So instead of getting a big payday, you're waiting and you're going to get that payday a little bit along the way and let the property grow in value, okay? So that's maybe one of the cons that you're dealing with here. You may have to have money into the deal that you can't get out, right? So there may be a situation where you can't get the money out of the property that you've put into it. You're going to have to get it out later when you sell it or get it along the way with cash flow. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about selling the property as is or wholesaling it. Well, there's some pros and there's some cons to this as well. And again, all of this is going to depend on individual circumstances. So the pros, if you want to wholesale or sell as is, you may not need to go get a loan. You might just be able to sign the paper. You don't have to do any work to the property. Those are some big pros. You get paid right away. You don't have to wait 6 months to get paid. You don't have to wait even to get paid a little bit every single month. You can get paid now and walk away. You don't have to manage an extensive rehab project. That's why a lot of newer investors are looking to wholesale. Some of the cons you're going to deal with is you may not make as much money. There's some tax consequences on the profit like you would on any of them, and I don't think that's a horrible con. Selling the property for after repaired value. This is where you fix it up and you actually sell it and you're trying to make as much money as you possibly can on it. That is going to be a few pros. You're typically going to make more money overall with this strategy. Some of the cons you're dealing with is you've got to manage contractors. You've got to pay taxes on the full profit. You've got to get a loan qualifications and get a loan. It takes more time. It takes a lot more oversight. You're taking on some risk, some market risk if the market goes up or the market goes down. So it really comes down to when is the different times you should be considering actually taking your profits. Well, if you have a bunch of debts, if you have credit card debts or retail debts, you should pay off the debt right away. These are typically high interest. I would get cash and I would pay them off. So that should be wholesaling. That should be fix and flip. Typically with that, I would be looking at one of those two strategies. And then if you have capital and you have good income, then what you may be looking to do is hide some income. And so that's a situation where you want to keep it as a rental. See, think about this. Let's say if you could flip the property and make $30,000, but instead you turn it into a rental property and make $200 a month, you're only going to be paying taxes on the $200 a month, whereas you would have paid $30,000 in taxes, but you also get to have some tax advantages. So if you have good income and you have some other capital, you can get some write-offs, right? So you can get some write-offs from depreciation, accelerated depreciation, and you can get some different write-offs for improvements you're doing in the property, which can help shelter some of those taxes, which can be great. If you don't have extra capital, then maybe you should look at wholesaling. This can help you be able to do fix and flip retails in the future. And other marketing, you can have some money to do some other marketing to spend on some other deals. If you do have extra capital, if you have extra money that you want to do something, would you rather have cash or would you rather have cash flow? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. Would you rather have cash or would you rather have cash flow? And the answer to that question is what you've got to figure out for yourself. If you don't need the write-offs, then you look at retailing the property. If there's a big rehab, if there's a big profit on a rehab, then you can either wholesale or do retail type deals. Okay, so that's the difference which we're looking for, which is going to depend on your individual circumstances. Okay, step 8 is getting contractors. Get bids to rehab and sell on after repaired values. Get bids for rentals. Get at least 2 contractor bids regardless of how well you know the contractor. Don't just go with your first bid and get it back. Inspections on the property. There's going to need to be inspections. You're going to make sure it gets done correctly. Okay, step 9. This is where you're going to have to make that final decision. Are you going to wholesale or are you going to move forward with the rehab? Or are you going to rent it or are you going to resell it? You've got to make that decision because now we're going to start processing the loan. This is all before you bought the property. You've got to get your termite inspection. You've got to get your hazard insurance. You've got to get your lender required docs in so that you can actually start closing on the property, which takes us to step 11. Step 11 is where we actually close on the property. You go to title or to your closing attorney. You sign all the documents, and then that takes us to step 12. Now you own the property, and it's time to start the rehab process. The rehab process, you're going to want to work with a project manager. You're going to want to do weekly inspections on the property, make sure you have quality control to make sure the work's done appropriately. And that leads us to step 13, where we're listing the property for rent or we're listing the property for sell. So those are the steps that we're talking about with our 13 steps. All right, guys, if you have enjoyed this, you should check out our complete system that takes brand new investors through flipping their first home. It's called our Find Fund Flip system. We have dozens of hours of training. We have deal finding software and access to our 100% financing. All you've got to do is go to DoHardMoney.com/get started. Okay, so we got a bunch of stuff. The rental calculator, as I promised. If you want to get a copy of that rental calculator, all you've got to do is go to DoHardMoney.com/rental-calculator. And, or you can just text your email address to 435-294-0433. Text your email address to 435-294-0433. If you've been enjoying this live cast, please hit that thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it, as well as hit the subscribe and the bell notification. Leave a comment and tell someone else about it. If you haven't already, text me your email address so you get a copy of our rental calculator. Text me at 435-294-0433. Just send me your email address and we will get that sent out to you. Future topics that you would like to see. What are things you'd like to see for future live casts? Please type it in the comments and I will be able to get that and put it on the schedule for future live casts that we'll be having. These are some different topics that you may be interested in, but I really want to know what you think and what you would be interested in. So please type it in the comments below what you are interested in, and we will put that on the agenda and on our schedule. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please check out our Income Hacker podcast. You can have that on Spotify. You can check that out anywhere where you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever the case may be, you can check that out. I'm just checking in here on some future topics that you're going to want to hear. Please type it in the comments. All right, it's time to see who our t-shirt winner of the week is. This is one of our shirts that we give away, and our winner of the week is Michael Kaser. Michael, thank you for being such a great t-shirt winner of the week, for your participation for last week. So everybody, please give Michael a round of applause. Put it in the comments. Tell him congratulations on being the winner of the week. Michael, what I need to have you do is email us, support@DoHardMoney.com. Put in the comments you're the shirt winner. Put your name, your email address, your cell phone, and what shirt size. Also, let us know what shirt you'd like the best. If you've seen some of the shirts that we have, we'll get you the closest we have based upon the size. We want to get the size right, and then the design will be second. So we'll send you a free shirt. We'll pay for shipping, pay for the shirt. It is all on us. If you want to find out if you're going to be next week's t-shirt winner, all you got to do is join us next week, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, and find out if you are the t-shirt winner for this week. Next week, I'm going to be covering tips for investing long-distance out-of-state real estate properties. So you're going to be checking that out. Also, our rental calculator, if you have not gotten it yet, please text me your email address to 435-294-0433. All right, guys, I really appreciate you being with us. I'm sorry about some of the technical problems, from the camera not working to the power going out, but I'm committed. I want to help you any way that I possibly can, so we made this happen today. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If so, hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're a subscriber to our channel. Join us next week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. We're going to be covering an amazing topic, and if you haven't gotten that rental calculator yet, text me your email address to 435-294-0433. All right, guys. Otherwise, make it a very profitable day, and bye for now.